a lot of these guys who push the envelope, they have a target on them, right? Now, today, assassination is a different kind of assassination. You got character assassination, which is worse sometimes than, some may say is worse than the actual assassination, right?
Can I say something about that, Patrick?
Yeah, sure.
During my troubles, I make light of it, right? But those were hard years. And when you got this, and they're after you like that, and they have all that power, and you know deep down you're dead, but you're going to go down fighting. I would frequently find comfort late at night when I try to fall asleep. And I'd imagine myself walking into that federal court building and someone rescuing me from what I was facing by walking up to me and shooting me dead. In other words, assassinate me. I'd much rather have that than what they were doing to me. Because a timely assassination, it's good for your obituary, and people remember you in a more positive way. But being sent to prison for corruption when you didn't do it seemed to me a far worse result. And so when you call this the new kind of form of assassination, you're speaking to me. Because in my own mind, my preference would have been the other, rather than what ultimately happened. Now I'm finally through it. It's over. And I'm lucky. I guess I'm glad I wasn't assassinated because I believe in second acts. But you hit it right. This is the new form of assassination now, this politics of personal destruction with the use of fake criminal charges to get people.
Yeah. So this almost makes me not trust people that are career politicians. Mm-hmm. It almost makes you think, like, what do you have to do to be a career politician? Not somebody that comes in, does the job, and leaves. Okay, I'm just going to come. I'm going to do 2 terms. I'm out of here. Okay, I did my time. One of my rules I follow in our family is make your money. After you make your money, take care of your family. And once you can take care of your family, go get back to public service in one way or another. Be a mayor, be a congressman, be a senator, be a governor, do something, and then leave, right? Matter of fact, the shorter you're in, the more I trust you. The longer you're in, I trust you less. Because how many deals do you have to do behind closed doors? How much do you have to play the game? In some industries, tenure is a respectable thing to do, right? In some industries, you think about it, it's a respectable thing to do. Some industries, like politics, I think tenure, it almost works backwards, because you eventually are going to have someone that's going to show you something that they're going to try to, hey, if you don't do this, we're going to introduce this we're going to send this to New York Times. Oh, we're going to say this about you. We're going to tell this to your wife. We're going to tell this to your kids. We can tell this to your family to ruin you. And then you're tempted to say, shit, okay, what do you want me to do? I need you to do this. And then they have you forever, right? That's what I mean when I say, how ugly is politics? Not what you went through. I really want to know, how ugly is the job of being a politician as a career politician?
I think one of the biggest problems in America is the fact that we have a permanent ruling class made up of career politicians, lobbyists, former congressmen and senators who are lobbyists, permanent staffers who are all over Washington. I call it the political industrial complex. It exists in Washington, D.C. It exists in state capitals across America. Presidents come and go. Governors come and go. These people are there forever. And when they leave Congress, they're lobbyists. So they're the same people, and they talk amongst themselves. And their worldview becomes that world, not where the rest of us live, the other side of the Potomac.
They make good money, $5-6 million a year.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's very wealthy. And they protect themselves. They support themselves on the backs of everybody else in America. It is the permanent ruling class of these career politicians against we the people. And that's part of the realignment that's happening in politics. That's why it's changing. And so there's a lot of anger, understandably so. And it exists in both parties. No one party is more guilty than the other. They're both very much part of that. And what's interesting, too, is that, the idea of term limits, for example. When I first became a state rep in 1993, I supported that. And the guy that was pushing it would ultimately be my lieutenant governor. He was the state treasurer at the time. He pushed it just to put his name on a bill so he can say he was for it, but he didn't care to even try to pass it. There's a lot of that baloney goes on in politics. Then a lot of these guys that got elected in 1994, Republicans, promised term limits. They were going to limit themselves. When they got 8 years, when they got close to 8 years, by then people forgot the promise and they made excuses and they stayed. But I do think term limits is something that should be seriously looked at. And the irony here is our first president, one of the greatest Americans of all time, George Washington, was all about what you just said. He served 2 terms, and that was it. He could have been king. He didn't want to be king. He could have been a 3-term president. He didn't want to be a 3-term president. He believed, like in the old days of the Roman Empire, this Cincinnatus, he was a farmer. He'd leave the farm and go serve his country and then go back to farming and till the soil. That was what Washington's view was of American politics. And he set an example very early on. But over time, that example is forgotten. And now you've got Joe Biden as president, who's been there. Get this now. He was 29 years old when he was elected, 30 when he was sworn in, the constitutionally youngest age he could be senator. His whole adult life has been in Washington. How could he possibly really understand the challenges that everyday people face? Because he's been so far away from it. And just the opposite. He's a creature of that swamp, and it is a swamp. And it's the same old people, and it's them against us.
Let me ask you. You know when sometimes you say there's crooked cops, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's crooked pastors, right?
Hey.
There's crooked preachers. There's crooked accountants. There's greedy capitalists.
Crooked Hillary.
Whatever. What I'm saying is the percentage of crookedness higher in the job of a career politician than any other occupation? That's what I want to do. You understand what I'm asking?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, what I'm trying to say.
There's always a few bad apples.
There is always in every industry.
Yeah.
But I wonder if the percentage of bad apple in politician is higher than other industries. What would you say to that?
I'd say yes, and I'd say part of it is because a lot of the crookedness is legal. They make the rules that benefit themselves. Remember that. The rules are unfair and wrong, but they benefit themselves, and therefore they're legal. But it's crooked because it ain't right.
But who's the most crooked? Is it the actual senator, representative? Is it the lobbyist? Is it the campaign finance person? Is it the person pulling the strings? Is it the people donating the money? Is it the Koch brothers? Is it George Soros? Like, who is the most corrupt in all this?
Well, I think it's a system. I think it's a system. And a lot of the things that you're referring to, the people you're talking about, aren't breaking laws. They're just involved in the way the system is set up. People don't like the idea of public funding for elections, okay? But I wonder if that would not be a better play, where you take money completely out of politics because they pander to their political donors. And the new politics now is you have these grassroots contributors. And Obama started this. At first, I thought this was a very good new development because he was able to encourage people, everyday people, to send small dollar checks and raise.
Bernie made his mark.
And AOC now, right? But on the political right, President Trump raises a lot of money that way, and a lot of conservative Republicans do. So initially, I thought this is really going to be good because it's giving people, everyday people, more of a voice. But here's what it's done: it's created further division. Because if you even look like you have an open mind about the other side's point of view, you're going to run the risk of losing your donors. They won't send you checks anymore. So it's almost better for you to be even more strident against the other side. And both sides will do this because it generates support among their donors.
I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
I don't either.
And the reason why I don't think it's going to change anytime soon is the following. What percentage of what percentage of our politicians today, and I'm talking Congress, Senate, governors, okay? Take those three. What percentage of them have been in politics more than 10 years? Is majorities over 10 years or majorities less than 10 years?
More than 10 years.
Okay, so
not even close.
What percentage would you say is more than 10 years? 60%, 70%?
Sure.
70%? It's not going to happen. You understand what I'm saying when I say it's not going to happen?
They're in too deep is what you're saying.
You're in too deep.
That's what happens.
What they do.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
A young freshman senator. I'm going to come in and I'm going to change Washington.
They're going to do one or two things.
Like, have a back seat, buddy.
Yeah, they're either going to destroy the guy's reputation, or they're going to
fall in line.
Or they're going to say, you have two choices, bro. Yeah. You either fall in line, or we're going to do this to you. Which one do you? And there's got to be somebody that goes and has that conversation with them. It's a tough gig.
But the differentiator these days is social media. Look at AOC.
Yeah.
She hasn't exactly fallen in line with Nancy Pelosi or anything like that. So, look at Tulsi Gabbard. Social media these days is the great equalizer.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.